But now to the issue of reverse racism in the workplace. Workers and trade unions claim it's at the stage where certain jobs are being reserved for immigrants who are happy to work for less pay. As David Eccleston reports, there are concerns racism is working in reverse and threatening the Australian way of life.
Welcome to the new Australia, one where you can be pushed aside by migrants willing to work. Twice as long, twice as hard, and for half the pay.
It definitely did feel like a crime to be a white Caucasian. You know, they definitely wanted to get rid of me.
There's workers now complaining about wage cuts, not having work, and a threat to living standards. We can see that it's only going to get worse in future years.
Australia, once the land of the fair go, is increasingly becoming an unfair place. For years, as a nation, we've been battling, and rightly so, to stop the mistreatment of minorities. But some are now saying we've gone too far.
It was planned all along to get rid of the Aussies because I believe that the Australians were too expensive to hire. And if they could get the cheaper labour in, well, they cut costs.
Craig Whitney has every right to be upset. He wants it known he's not a racist. In fact, he and his Thai wife Ratia now run a Thai restaurant in Brisbane. He was happily working at this meatworks in Ipswich until his employers started stripping shifts from white workers in favour of cheap foreign labourers who don't complain that they are paid less to work more.
1 to 2 days of work is all us Aussies were on. Whether the Chinese or foreigners were on 40 hours a week guaranteed.
Andrew Ferguson is from the 120,000-member strong Construction, Forestry, Mining and Energy Union. His CFMEU says that because new migrants speak little English and they've come from third world countries, they have no idea about award rates and penalties.
Without a doubt, there is reverse racism. There's employers that get gangs of workers from a particular language group, use them as cheap labour, exploit them and undermine labour standards.
Mr Ferguson points out it's not just taking place in factories. Look at the car wash, the supermarket, the takeaway. Where are the white workers?
It would be not a problem if the same standards were applied to a business that wanted to employ solely white Australians.
Darren Hodges represents the Australian Protectionist Party, who say the Australian way of life is under threat.
If it's racist for the Protectionist Party to advocate on behalf of their identity, then groups like the Lebanese Muslim Association must also be racist because they're advocating on behalf of Lebanese Muslims.
No, he's wrong. And in fact, research supports that.
National Race Discrimination Commissioner Graham Innes maintains the union movement and Mr Hodges are compromised by self-serving interests.
Newly arriving immigrants in Australia have not been welcomed and celebrated over many, many years.
We are in danger. There are huge, there are suburbs where there are huge demographic changes where they've become almost completely Asianised.
This supermarket is staffed almost exclusively by Indians and some Chinese. This car wash, like so many around the country, appears also to favour subcontinental labour. At this Pizza Hut, for example, there are 5 Indian workers. The owner, who owns 2 Pizza Hut stores, says all the applications for jobs come from Chinese and Indian workers. Now, why is that? Are they more willing to work than some of us? Or are some Aussies just simply unwilling to do some jobs?
We reject that. If they had a good workplace with decent wages and standards, I think they can attract people. But young people also have got to have a future and a hope of learning a skill for their future.
This year, 35,000 people who came to Australia on temporary visas will be granted permanent skilled visas to stay in the country. So Graham Innes says we should get a start on making new arrivals feel welcome, valued and safe.
People in minorities in Australia, where the persistent pockets of racism occur, are not getting a fair go. The 20% of people who've experienced race hate talk are not getting a fair go. And that's why I say that racism is un-Australian.
So, are the views of Darren Hodges racist?
No, if I don't hate anyone. I'm simply here as part of the Protectionist Party to advocate on behalf of the majority of Australians, and the majority of Australians are people of, like me, in appearance. So if that's racist, then okay, maybe I'm a racist.
And if you'd like some more information or you'd like to lodge a complaint, you'll find the relevant details at our website, yahoo7.com.au/todaytonight.